Welcome to TechBuzz. I'm Emma Whittemore here with Virginia Lindley and Carissa Steichen.
We're here to talk a little about virtual reality. This technology allows users to completely immerse themselves in a synthetic environment. We've spent the last week introducing VR to others and researching what it's all about. For example, I read an article from The Guardian online that talked about medical professionals and psychologists using VR. They're exploring how it can be used to treat things like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and other mental health issues.
We also used Google Cardboard for the first time to experience VR, which we'll take a look at a little later. Each of us introduced VR to a student and to an adult over the age of 30. We also interviewed the coordinator of WNL's IQ Center to learn more about the developing technology. Let's take a look at our Skype interview with Dave Pfaff.
But I think that for WNL, what we're looking at is educational applications of VR. And there are some people working on non-gaming applications of medicine, using virtual reality for simulating surgery kind of things.
Pfaff also talks about other ways of using virtual reality here in Lexington.
One of the things that is on my list for this summer is to there's a person in town in Lexington built a 3D model of Lexington in 1860. So he took all the buildings that they looked in 1860 and built a model of the town in SketchUp, actually. And so what we would like to do is to model the 1860 version of Lexington in a gaming engine and actually be able to navigate through the town.
So as we've seen so far, virtual reality has a number of practical applications. Though the research is relatively new, we've seen some interesting ways it's being used today. A study from the University of Washington praises virtual reality headsets for their role in distracting patients during care for burn wounds. This practice was especially effective with pediatric patients. I also recently read about nonprofits in virtual reality. DriveSmart Virginia uses a VR simulator and a truck to measure students' level of distraction while texting and driving.
Check out these clips of our first time using Google Cardboard and with the New York Times virtual reality app.
We were all pretty intrigued with the Google Cardboard experience and with what our expert had to say. But as you can tell, there were some alarming side effects too. It made me pretty dizzy, which happened with some of our other VR participants. This reminded me of a recent article from the Nicotine and Tobacco Research Journal. It talked about VR and addiction withdrawal. The participants who used VR were actually able to feel what it would be like if they were to treat their addiction and undergo withdrawal. This is just one example of the many prospects that scientists and health experts are investigating with VR. So even though VR can spur negative feelings, there's a lot of potential for it in the future. So now let's take a look at how our interviewees reacted to their first VR experiences.
I actually know a fair amount of virtual reality, not from this device, but because of books that Virginia actually has read twice.
Yes.
Once in Adolescence and one in Intro. A book by Sherry Turkle called Alone
And then
Together,
it cuts over to Virginia.
where she's particularly concerned about the impact of social media in terms of the kind of virtual lives and worlds that we often create and often feel more comfortable in. And her concern is that as we do that, we will increasingly lose our ability to be able to interact with each other and cope with real life.
at an IMAX.
My research also follows the medical trends that Virginia and Carissa have been talking about. Scientists with the American Heart Association studied how virtual reality can help stroke victims rehabilitate. But back in 2012, their findings weren't very conclusive. But researchers have been making progress. A recent news article published by CBS in Philly said that stroke victims can use VR to reteach their brains to help them move. It says that virtual reality may also be able to help patients with cerebral palsy and traumatic brain injuries.
It sounds like there are a lot of interesting possibilities for VR in the future, whether they're for gaming, educational purposes, or medical advancements. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching TechBuzz.